What YouTube channel should you start in 2020? I don't know. Click, right? I'm not listening to anything this guy has to say. Now, I'm not going to tell you here what channel you should start, but what I will give you is some examples of what I've done and what channels I've started, and some are successful, some aren't. And yes, I do have multiple channels. So one channel deals with programming tutorials, algorithms, computer science kind of type stuff. I'm going to be even going into mathematics. The other channel is dealing with car modifications, upgrading, DIY kind of type stuff, as well as reviews. And then this channel is going to be focusing on how to organize your YouTube channels and how to just pump out content and just basically see what it's like, the life of a YouTuber, right? It's not just about creating YouTube videos. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video as well. So I guess let's start with the creation of my educational channel. It's called Dino Programming. And why did I create that one? Well, two reasons actually. Well, probably even more than two reasons, but I'll focus on two and we'll see if we expand from there. Primary reason, I went back to school. I really liked it. I wanted to actually continue my education and wanted to be an educator eventually. But you have a family, you need to have a job. It becomes kind of unrealistic when you start getting into your 30s, especially if you want to keep a certain level, like a standard of living. I can't just sacrifice how my family lives just because I want to pursue my dream. I thought I could make some kind of difference by opening up a YouTube channel and just basically providing some of the things that I was already doing in school. So in school, there was a lot of different students that came up to me and just said like, oh, I noticed like you really know this material. Can you just teach it to me? And I would spend 5 minutes and you could just see everything just click for them. So I figured, you know what? I want to start doing this outside of the classroom and outside of school and just, make it available for everybody to see. There's so many topics that I just found like just really simple, but you can see where everybody's getting the same kind of confusion. And if you just take a different approach to it and just explain it differently, you can see just bells just constantly, going off. And I was always amazed that professors weren't taking the same kind of approach. So that was the first part. Second part kind of started dealing with technology as a world, right? So I was kind of looking at different jobs, and every single position that you would apply to, I don't know what it is with the technology sector, but it seems like you'd have to go and you have to spend like an entire day interviewing with these people, with these companies, trying to prove your worth. And it was kind of driving me nuts, You come over there and you say like, oh yeah, I have 10 years of, say, I don't know, whatever experience, JavaScript, PHP, C. It doesn't matter what programming language, just pick one. Then what did they do? Well, they start hitting you with syntax questions. Oh, well, what does this function do? What does this do? What does this do? And you're just looking at them. I just told you I have 10 years of experience. Give me some questions that you would ask a senior programmer. Like, for example, how would you approach in solving this kind of problem? Those are the kind of questions that you would be looking at. So what I decided to do is focus on all the languages that I know, create some videos for all those languages, not only to help people out, but when people say like, hey, we want to test you on syntax, I could just say, you know what, just go to my YouTube channel. There's playlists upon playlists of all the programming languages I know. If you think that's sufficient, go ahead, hire me. If you don't, well, then I'm out. I was not about to waste any more time spending with these companies doing this kind of stuff. So for me, the educational YouTube channel provided a service to everybody, right? I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed people actually learning. I always try in my videos to make sure that the topic is clearly understood, or I'm not going to create the video. There's absolutely no reason for it. And at the same time, I wanted to show, my potential employers, this is what I know. So it was never a hassle to do the videos for my educational channel. It just felt like studying, right? I enjoyed studying. So transitioning from studying and just reading to studying and talking about it was pretty simple for me. So that channel was actually growing kind of slow. I think the primary reason is because I opened it up so early, right? I opened it up and it had nothing to do with my educational channel. I opened it up, I think, in like 2012. And I just like posted random videos of everything that I kind of just found entertaining. There was no concentration. So right now I'm seeing in the analytics, the graph just go like this. Of course, I've been at it for a couple of months now and pretty much posting videos every single day. It hasn't return the kind of growth that I was thinking it would return. Now, at the same time, it is expected. The kind of topic that I'm talking about right now is a topic that's slowly trending down, or maybe even fast. I'm not 100% sure. I wanted to kind of focus in on that topic just because I started off with that particular programming language. Now, the other channel is a channel that deals with car modifications, DIYs, and just general car reviews. Why did I start that channel? Well, I had a C5 Corvette, 2003 Corvette, and since I was a little kid, I wanted to build a car. Like, that's been always my dream. And now I have a kid myself, and I wanted us to do this together. So, of course, taking apart the entire car, doing the entire suspension, interior, engine work, I mean, I stripped the engine completely to the block, isn't something that you just get on and start doing. You do your research. Unfortunately, what I found was all these forums that I was going through, they would always skip the most important step. For example, I have to disconnect the wire from the back of the engine. They just say, disconnect the wire from the back of the engine, if they even mention it. But how? I can't see it. What do I do? Like, did you even, attempt to show me? Or like, you'll be watching the YouTube videos and, they'll struggle at the same point where I'm struggling, and then just like cut out, 2 hours of footage and just say like, oh, well, this is what I did. I wiggled it out of here, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to see that. When I was working on my C5 Corvette, I wanted to show every single little detail. At the same time, I wanted my son to be able to look back and say like, wow, I worked on this car with my dad. And so I included him in most of my footage, if nothing else, just kind of in the background talking. But a lot of the times, like, he was just there working with me. I mean, he wasn't really doing anything. He was just kind of playing with the wrench or something along those lines, but he was still in the footage. So that YouTube channel almost became like old family footage. I wasn't really looking at impressing anybody. I wasn't really striving for views or anything like that. But for whatever reason, that YouTube channel is going off a lot faster than my programming channel. And of course, everybody that looks at it, like all my friends, family members, instantly they go through the same thing. You know what you should do? You should blah, blah, blah. Do what this guy's doing. Do what this guy's doing. Unless you look sincere in what you're doing, you're not going to be able to pull it off just like those other guys. They're doing it because they enjoy doing that stuff, or they're really good at faking it. I'm not good at faking that kind of stuff, so I'm not even going to attempt to replicate somebody else's work. If I enjoy doing it, I'm going to expand upon it. Now, of course, you want to do different footage, right? Especially if your channel is starting to, tick up, you kind of want to grow that channel. I mean, you start seeing that channel grow, and maybe you do have to venture into different areas. So I kind of started thinking, I said, what else could I do for that channel that's not just 100% DIY, do this, do that, but it's still related to car modification and kind of car reviews and stuff that I've been doing this entire time on that channel. So what I decided to start doing is actually start providing some kind of car news. Why did I pick that? Well, because most of the time when I meet up with my friends, that's what we talk about. We talk about the latest car news. So I'll talk to them about that stuff, and then I'll just talk about it on video afterwards. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, or it's just going to become like a chore. Even when you're passionate, like I am about both of those, I'm really passionate about both education and cars, it still gets tedious because people don't realize how much work you have to put into a YouTube channel in order for it to be successful. It's not just creating YouTube videos anymore. Unless you figure out something that's really in demand that nobody's done, which is highly unlikely, you're going to have to take all kinds of different approaches. You're going to have to stick out from the rest, and you're going to want to be efficient. So just to kind of give you an example, we'll start off with my educational channel. We'll move towards the car modification channel. With the educational channel, most of the time, I think of a script, because with educational kind of type stuff, you don't want to forget some stuff. You don't want to go back and say, oh, I should have talked about this, should have talked about that. So I'll write up a script, put it on a teleprompter. I'll do like a little introduction about more higher level kind of type stuff, and then I'll jump on the computer where I'll actually do some code. I'll record the process of both. Once I'm done, then it's time to edit. Editing at the very bare minimum takes somewhere like 30-45 minutes, or like anywhere between like a 5 to 10 minute video, and it could go up to a couple hours depending on how much stuff you needed to cut out or adjust or anything along those lines. And you're going to be cutting stuff out. It's every single time you see like any kind of transition position, it's, stuff got cut out because it shouldn't have been in there. Maybe you just needed a couple of seconds to think, what is the best approach to be able to explain this problem? Once you finish editing and exporting the video, now it's time to upload it to YouTube. So once it's there, then you got to start thinking about, okay, the thumbnail, the title, the description. Most of the time I just use my script and just modify it, slightly so that I can use that in my description. The tags, they're also pretty important, like which tags are going to be part of that specific process. So there's the next thing, right, that you're going to have to do. If you didn't write a script, well, you're going to have to write a description right now, which is going to take about as long as writing a script. So normally I like to take anywhere between 2 paragraphs all the way to maxing out the maximum number of characters, like somewhere around 5,000 characters inside that description. For the educational channel, the thumbnails, I feel, even though I may change my mind, we'll see, I'm still experimenting with that kind of stuff, but I feel like they can be more abstract. And what I mean by that is, with my car modification channel, I don't feel like they need to be abstract. I feel like they need to be like real world photos of the car or of the process, and we'll get more into that, what I do right there. But with this, I just, take an image, maybe like a screenshot, skew it a little, put some kind of colorful background, put over some text, and really that's it. I want to kind of follow a theme, especially with these educational videos. I'll do somewhere like, I think on my PHP, one of them, video 72 as of right now. So you want to follow some kind of theme for every single playlist that you're going to be creating, so that people, if they're looking at it, they could tell like, oh, this is a new video for this specific thing. So all of that is just revolving around YouTube. Next, I keep up with my Instagram. So with Instagram, I like to take a bunch of photos, I like to edit them, and I like to upload them, right? So just like everybody, you want to keep up with your Instagram account. You're connecting with the same kind of audience, but in a different manner. It's almost a little bit more personal, like they feel like they can, your audience can reach you. And I get a lot of questions through YouTube comments, but also a lot of questions through private messages through Instagram. And for whatever reason, I think it's just human nature. They feel like they've connected, your audience has connected with you directly when they're asking you through something like a messenger. So I keep up with an Instagram account, and I just actually recently launched it for that channel. A Karma guy, I've had it for a little bit longer. I want to create content for it alongside all the content for my YouTube channel. And photography, you gotta take some nice photos, you gotta edit them, and everything that I've been looking on YouTube so far, like how to edit specific types of photos, it just takes for freaking ever. And I don't have time to spend, like, for example, let's say I take 100 photos. I don't have time to spend 30 minutes editing each one of those photos. Like, yeah, I understand those are photography type YouTube channels. What I want is I want to create content as quickly as possible. I want my photos to look good. I almost want them to mimic that half an hour to an hour spending editing per photo look, but I don't have time nor the motivation to be editing that long. I want to edit a photo in under 5 minutes and have it scheduled for my Instagram account. So I'll be showing you guys throughout, this entire time, like pretty much anytime I edit anything, I'm just going to be pumping these videos out just so you guys can see. I think the best way to learn this kind of stuff, if you don't already know, is just by observing what others are doing. And I think that's why you're here right now. So we're going to be looking at, a little bit at Photoshop. I'm really not that keen on editing stuff in Photoshop anymore, just because it takes too long. So most of my photos are going to be edited in Lightroom. Most of the videos are going to be edited, well, not most of them, all of the videos are going to be edited in Adobe Premiere. And then I'll also show you the camera equipment, the microphone, everything that I use throughout this process. So we covered YouTube and we covered Instagram for my educational channel. Next, I felt like I needed to also do a couple more things with it. So what I ended up doing, again, just because it arose out of necessity while I was in one of my algorithms classes, because people kept asking me, like, how do you do this type of algorithm, is I ended up writing a book. So I wrote a book on algorithms and I put it up on Amazon. It's selling decently. It's nothing spectacular. I'm not #1 author in the world, but I mean, it's decent. And so I have another way to connect with the audience that's not just YouTube or Instagram. So there's another way. So if they look me up on Amazon, they can find my book. Alongside that, because I do feel like I'm a little bit of a writer. I mean, if you're any kind of like educator, you have to do some kind of writing. You're already writing scripts, you're doing all this kind of stuff. So I decided to open up a Medium account just to be able to post some of the blogs, articles, talk about it in a little bit more detail. Maybe people don't like seeing the videos. Maybe they want to see more concrete examples. So I opened that up and I write out pretty detailed articles on every single video that I post now. And I put it up on Medium. Now, each one of those articles, I try to do one article a day. It takes a long time. It's not easy. And in Medium, just like Instagram, it allows you to schedule posts out. So you're trying to minimize the amount of time that you're spending every single day, because you will get burnt out. Stuff will happen. You may get sick. You're not going to be able to record. You're not going to be able to do whatever. And you want to schedule out not just your Instagram Medium, but also your YouTube videos a little bit further ahead. So I'll spend I'll try to spend 3, 4, 5 hours in a specific day of the week just writing articles. And, I'll fool myself. I'll say like, oh, let me pump out 10 articles, before lunchtime. It's 7 a.m. or something like that. It's a Saturday. Before lunch, I told my wife and kid, we're going to go here, blah, blah, blah. Let me just pump out a bunch of articles. And then you end up writing maybe 2, 3 articles. And you realize that this is a time-consuming process as well. So it's something that, unfortunately, if you kind of want to incorporate everything, I believe you need to kind of incorporate that part as well for that type of channel. We're going to shift gears and we're going to move over to my Car Mod Guy channel, where I don't have a Medium account because I don't find it necessary. But at the same time, it's a lot more time consuming, believe it or not. So with the Car Mod Guy channel, a lot of the stuff that I do, a lot of the content that I create are those DIY videos. For example, I was insulating my STI, the rattling inside the car was just driving me nuts. So I decided to, at one video, I'm going to take out the entire interior and I'm going to insulate the floor. Well, it took about 10 hours to do, which in the end came to about a 16-minute video. So I ended up spending 10 hours, recording and doing stuff for a 16-minute video, which is honestly, if you're just thinking about content creation, you're going to get burnt out real quick. If that's all your focus is I'm going to spend 10 hours today so I can do a 15-minute video, you're not going to do it. Now, for me, it was very different because I saw a need for myself, so I was going to do it anyways. It just might as well put a camera. The other issue with that is you want to make it look engaging and entertaining, and it's not just one time-lapse kind of type shot, or you're just, pressing record on and off. So you do different camera angles for every single, thing. You want to show, okay, this is what I'm unscrewing right here. This is how I'm peeling this back. This is, how I'm removing this pillar. These are the bolts that I'm unscrewing from the back of the seat, from the front of the seat, underneath the seat, stuff that I'm unclipping. And you're just moving the camera around constantly. Now, I would say that what took me 8 to 10 hours to do, I honestly probably could have done in, let's say, 4 to 5 hours. But just because you're constantly looking at shots, like where are you going to position the microphone, where are you going to position this, and you're trying to make it a little bit engaging, you're trying to make it entertaining for the viewers on YouTube, you do spend quite a significant more amount of time doing that stuff. My wife, she came out, she said, I'm going to help you with this video, and all I needed to do was just remove 2 pieces of plastic on both sides. If I was just doing it, honestly, it would have taken me less than 15 minutes. Ended up taking me an hour because I got to check, I got to do this, I'm telling her like, hey, hold the microphone over here, do this, yada, yada, yada. And it takes an hour. And at the end, it comes out to like less than a 5-minute video. And, she was saying, she's like, oh my God, this takes forever. I'm like, yeah, it really does. So with that channel actually started to grow pretty well. So and I was pretty happy with it. Aside from the YouTube channel and again, going through the process of recording, editing, uploading, you're looking at the images, what kind of image are you going to be doing, etc., etc. What kind of, thumbnail you're going to be posting, what kind of description you're going to be entering, what kind of title, everything that kind of went with the educational channel also translates over to the car modification channel that I have. YouTube is done. Now you have your Instagram, right? My Instagram account is doing pretty okay. I'm posting now higher quality photos. I figured out that you have to have a theme to go along. People like stories, narratives, so I try to incorporate all that stuff. And I'm going to be sharing all this stuff that I've kind of learned with you guys throughout the past few months and actually over the years. And I'm going to share why some of my videos on YouTube were more successful than the others and why some of my posts on Instagram were more successful than the others. And, that's at least what I believe the case may be. It could be just a fluke, but I think there is some kind of pattern to it. So to kind of summarize all of this stuff, everything that we've just talked about, what you have to do is you have to realize that you shouldn't be copying anybody on YouTube. If you just look at groups, conventions that kind of happen, you're like, my God, there's a group for that? There's a convention for that? Like, how many people enjoy this kind of stuff? You'll realize that there are people that fall into your kind of niche. Majority of the people on my Karma Guy channel are early 30s family dads. You have no idea how many people I've found that said, hey, blah, 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 I love your channel. I can't believe that you have the exact same cars that I do. I have a C5 Corvette, a C6 Corvette, and the new WRX STI. They have the exact same cars. I mean, who would have thought that there's somebody out there, and not just one person, I mean, this is multiple people out there that say, hey, I have the exact same cars you do, and they'll send me photos, and I'm like, my God, this is so strange how there are people in, not just the world, like, even smaller niches, like people from my state over here that'll send me saying, hey, I have the exact same cars you do, and I did the exact same upgrades, or I feel the exact same way that you do about family, about, separation of family and your passion for cars and how you're merging the two. And you are going to create some kind of niche, and if you create it and you're passionate about it, it doesn't matter what it is, eventually, if you just keep up with it, you're going to be successful. I mean, honestly, I think there's no way not to be successful. So just look up how many videos you need to have in order to have a super successful channel, and you'll quickly realize that it's a lot. So you're going to have to be really passionate about what you do, and you're going to have to be pumping out a lot of content if you want your YouTube channel to be successful. If that's your dream, to eventually turn a YouTube channel into some kind of business. So I think I'm done with this. I think hopefully you guys have gathered some kind of information out of this, that all you really need is some kind of camera, something to talk about, something that you're passionate about. It doesn't really matter what it is, because there are going to be a ton of people out there that think exactly the way you do, and you don't have to create the content for the people, because if it's content that's good, somebody will find value in it and somebody will come to your channel. So I'm about to start actually editing some photos. That's why I originally came in here, and I'm going to start recording videos on how to edit those photos, and I'll be sharing them on my YouTube channel. So maybe I'll see you guys in the next few videos, and basically from this point on, all I'm going to be focusing on is how to quickly create content for YouTube, for Instagram, and actually have a life other than just content creation.